Generational poverty, a mother struggling with addiction, and a father who wasn't there. As a Republican nominee for vice president, J.D. Vance may seem like he has it all, but his upbringing was anything but perfect. No one who picked up and read Hillbilly Elegy, a memoir of a family and culture in crisis back in 2016, could have predicted that its author, J.D. Vance, would be Donald Trump's pick for vice president in 2024. That includes Vance himself. Throughout the book, he writes that he's no one special and has done nothing extraordinary. He's a self-described Scots-Irish hillbilly at heart, whose family has roots in rural Kentucky and the massive and impoverished swath of greater Appalachia. The midlife ordinariness of his happy marriage, home, and 2 dogs, he explains, was prefaced by the tragic ordinariness of his upbringing, the kind which he shared with countless individuals. Following JD's announcement that he'd be joining the 2024 Republican presidential ticket, plenty of articles cropped up online criticizing the conclusions he drew from these childhood experiences. One Charlotte Observer article disagrees with Vance's assessment of Appalachians as largely lazy and pessimistic people who don't take responsibility for their own lives. Another article on the Washington Post says much the same, calling out what it describes as a strangely contradictory combination of sympathy and blame for the poor. When looking at JD's upbringing, one must begin with his mother, Beverly. At the 2024 Republican National Convention, JD described his mom as someone who struggled with addiction. However, he also said his mom never gave up, adding,
"And I'm proud to say that tonight my mom is here, 10 years clean and sober."
As a nurse, Beverly had access to prescription medicines, which she abused. As a result of her addiction, her behavior at home was aggressive and violent. Beverly was arrested when Vance was 12 years old. In a 2017 interview on NBC News, Vance, nearly in tears, described her arrest as a relief, adding,
"And I thought to myself, all right, I'm gonna live another day."
He also recounted witnessing his mother being depressed, suicidal, and humiliating him. Meanwhile, in his book, JD wrote of a revolving door of father figures, following his mother's divorce from his father when he was 6 years old. Afterward, Beverly remarried and divorced multiple times more. At some point, JD left his mother's care and moved in with his grandmother, whom he referred to as Mamaw at the RNC. While JD portrayed his grandmother as affable during his RNC speech, not everything about her was pleasant. At times, his grandmother demonstrated some of the same impulsive violence he'd endured while living with his mother. On one hand, JD described his grandmother in glowing terms in the 2017 NBC News interview, saying,
"She knew when I needed love and comfort."
During his RNC speech, JD described his grandmother as a woman of very deep Christian faith, but he also added,
"But she also loved the F word." I'm not kidding. She could make a sailor blush.
However, JD's grandmother lived through the same cycle of substance abuse, poverty, and violence that affected his entire family. She watched both her daughter, Beverly, and husband, James, who is JD's grandfather, struggle with addiction. At one point, JD's grandmother got so fed up with James that she doused him in gasoline and lit him on fire. James ultimately survived. She also threatened to run over JD's friends, a threat that he took seriously. After JD's parents divorced, his mother was devastated. It was an event that may have helped precipitate her decline into substance abuse and subsequent abusive behavior toward her son. As JD wrote in Hillbilly Elegy, his mother strolled in one day and said that his father, Donald Bowman, didn't want her anymore. JD wrote, "It was the saddest I'd ever felt." Then, in JD's teenage years, Bowman returned one day as a devoted Pentecostal, according to the New York Times. By all accounts, it seems that Bowman was intensely religious even when he walked out on his family. However, he was also abusive to Beverly. Nonetheless, when Bowman reappeared, JD started overhauling his life in an attempt to appeal to his estranged father. He wrote in Hillbilly Elegy, "I'm not sure if I liked the structure or if I just wanted to share in something that was important to him." He wound up throwing out his music, opting for Christian rock instead, and jumping online to refute evolution in chat rooms. Outside of the violence he experienced in his immediate family, JD's Appalachian origins were defined by the type of mountain chivalry that led to blood feuds and unreported violence, as Stephen Bowling, the Breathitt County, Kentucky library director, told the Washington Post. In Hillbilly Elegy, JD describes one such violent act committed by his uncle, Blaine Blanton Jr. In the anecdote, Blanton, who goes by the nickname Uncle Pet, gets into an argument with another local man named Big Red. After some name-calling, Vance's uncle yanks Big Red from his truck, beats him senseless, and takes an electric saw to him, carving up and down Big Red's body. Big Red survived, and the crime went unreported like many others. Such violence, as the Washington Post reports, was part and parcel of generations of abuse that created a precedent of regional culture and values that shaped JD and his relatives. In a 2016 interview with NPR, JD asserted precisely this. His interviewer summarized Vance's upbringing by saying that violence was always a possibility, even amongst those who were supposed to love each other. JD noted that this assessment was absolutely true, and that if his mother wasn't fighting with one of her boyfriends, random locals were fighting in restaurants or on the streets.